is the CLT, a safe place for you and me. Possibly the best show in the Queen City that's not on TV. Hey everybody, and welcome into the CLT. I'm your host, Tiffany Blackmon, and I am excited about the guests we have today, the Cooligans with Chris and Alexa. Alexis, excuse me, I'm going to start that again because I was calling Alexa, or maybe we'll just use this.
Do you want me to play a specific song for you, or?
Yeah, I think Alexis could turn off your air conditioner too.
Should I order anything? Maybe toilet paper? What do you need?
Going downhill. Let's just keep it going. But I'm thankful that you guys have decided to join me today, even though I can't say your names correctly.
So we're happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you? Are you sure now?
Yes.
We not only, we were in Charlotte last year, so we got to meet a bunch of people that were involved in trying to get an MLS team there. So when we heard the news, it all made sense. It all worked out. So we're happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you guys. So I know this is like such an unusual time that we're going through as a country with the fight for social injustice that has been happening. And I know you guys have been having some really insightful podcasts, your show as well, and Fubo TV, just talking about this subject. What has been you guys' take on how the MLS and the soccer community has responded?
I think better than I don't want to say better than expected, but when it comes to things like certain leagues, especially something like MLS, which has been so sort of insulated for so long, it seems like things are moving at a faster pace than what I was expecting and what I was hoping. Even in my best hopes, things like allowing certain symbols to be shown by the fans, allowing players to show peacefully protest the things that they find important to them. Those things I think are really important. I think it shows that a league like MLS is sort of reading the room and understanding that if our players are our biggest assets, we have to sort of back them in these situations.
Yeah, and I'd add, we had CJ Sapong of the Chicago Fire on the show, kind of talking about this as well. And one of the things that he pointed out was like the MLS season begins during Black History Month, like towards the end of Black History Month, and there really isn't too much effort or nothing. In the past there wasn't much acknowledgement of that, and I think not that's like again one of these. I think a lot of businesses, corporations, people are just realizing like, oh, we have a lot more blind spots than we realized. And look, realistically, not just MLS, but everybody, kind of has to get on board, right? Like this is, if you're not acknowledging these things, it's going to affect your business, which is that is how most people, affect any change by disrupting the economy to some degree. So I think MLS, at the very least, the last few weeks, you've seen a lot of the posts, especially from a lot of the players. They're posting quotes from players and just raising that awareness. And I just hope it keeps going. That's really all I can that is the expectation that I do have now going forward.
Yeah, I feel like things are going to be different. That's me being hopeful, but now it's just everyone using their platforms to fight against racism, to call it out, to speak on it, and maybe even taking a step further. So how do we not just, talk about it? How do we be about it when it comes to being an inclusive community, a truly inclusive community in the soccer world?
I think most importantly is reach out to, look, if you don't know you're not being inclusive, you may not know who to reach out to. But I think it's important to sort of speak to someone who isn't like you. Chris and I are two Latinos. Let's go talk to an African-American player or an African-American fan and say, yo, is there something we're not doing? Is there something that needs to be done? Let's go talk to a white player and be like, yo, what else can be done? What else, or a fan, I should say, what else hasn't been done? Let's go talk to someone from the Asian community. Let's go talk to someone. Like, at the end of the day, I think one of the things that all of this should teach people is that working together solves issues, and even if it means, hitting someone financially for not being progressive enough. People are, oh, they're only doing it for the money. It's getting done, Like sometimes people don't realize it until it hits their pocket. Like, yo, things need to get done. I could care less the intent behind what you're doing. If it helps people, do it. You know what I mean? And I think that's it's two ways. It's how do we work together to fight for what we want, and how do we work together to make sure that everyone's getting what they deserve.
Yeah, I think the little things that we could all do to just continue to have those conversations, but it's really about it requires a little bit of courage and bravery to stand up to a lot of people have racist family members or people that may say something that's like coded and they won't address it because the conversation is too uncomfortable. And it's as simple as, hey, well, I'm not saying those things, so I'm a good person, therefore I am contributing to the lack of racism in the world. And it's like, no, well, that's not really helping because you're just not doing anything. And I think if we all have that kind of mindset, it will only lead to a more inclusive idea of like what America could be like, as opposed to it being what it's supposed to be, a white country or a white league or whatever, white business. We can actually kind of challenge those ideas and really get to know each other a lot more.
And I think that what you said, going back to, it can be uncomfortable for some people, but that's part of the conversation, being uncomfortable. That's how I think that you're getting somewhere. Even down here in Charlotte now, we have Black Lives Matter, painted out by local creatives, in the middle of the street, which is really cool for us to see. I know that, Chris, you mentioned you guys were here last summer. That was part of the International Champions Cup. And you guys got to hang out on stage with Megan Rapinoe. How cool was that? How cool was it to be in this city in Charlotte?
Charlotte is a dope city. I would love if they could invent air conditioning for a city. I think that would be important. Why are your mosquitoes so big? The first car I had was smaller than those mosquitoes.
Our producer said you were going to bring up mosquitoes.
They are huge. It's not fair. Christian got there the day before me, and I'm not kidding. I called him. I'm like, yo, what's it like? He's like, the mosquitoes are huge. It's the first thing he said. And as soon as I landed, I'm like, you're not kidding. They were helping me get the baggage claim. They're like, follow me. It was a little bit much. But the city it's a dope city. And what I love about it is how diverse it is. And when we hanging out on stage with Megan Rapinoe, she was late. So we had to riff for 45 minutes?
Like that?
I mean, she's a busy person. I don't think she did it on purpose, but so we had to be on stage just with nothing pre-thought, just riff and entertain how many thousands of people were just standing there. And luckily we had a blast doing it, but we heard in our ear, like eyes on Megan. So we run down and we're like introducing ourselves real quick so that we're not wasting our time. And she's like, no, I know who you guys are. Love the show. I could have melted right there, and not just from the heat. I was like, she knows who we are.
Everybody knows who you are. That's why we wanted to have you on the show.
And Charlotte, I think did the whole event was incredible, and there were so many. Obviously, Arsenal was playing Fiorentina. I didn't know there were that many Gooners in Charlotte, but I think we've been traveling a lot, especially the last 3 years. Either doing events like that or we do stand-up shows. We'll do stand-up shows for soccer fans, and the one thing that we notice is almost regardless of what area we're in, what city we're in, soccer fans are so awesome. They're so welcoming. They're different than fans of any other sport when it comes to inclusivity and diversity. I go to Charlotte. I hadn't been to Charlotte before. I didn't know as far as what diversity or what I was really going to see. But I look into that crowd there was 4,000 people, and it was quite diverse. A lot of Latinos, a lot of Black people, white. It was great. Children, young, old. So seeing that made me excited to when the Charlotte's MLS team is playing and go to a game there, I'm excited to see what it's going to look like.
And based on some of the response that you saw and being here and getting to be around the crowd, the people here, do you feel like this city's ready for an MLS team?
I mean, especially there's two reasons why I say the buzz behind the House of Soccer, which was in that park. I can't remember the name of the park right next to the stadium.
Oh yeah, we're here. Yes. I'm still new here too, so.
Yeah. It was amazing, just the amount of people that filtered through to just experience something with soccer. And second, I know it's not Charlotte, but when we went to Cary, North Carolina for the NWSL final, just how jammed and packed that place was on a very hot day, and sort of, not exactly nearby anything, and how quickly that place filled out and how amazing that felt to be a part of that experience. I think I can't wait for North Carolina and Charlotte in particular to have a team of their own.
Yeah, and I'd add, like, I saw all those Arsenal fans. If all those Arsenal fans can support their local team, then we're in the right direction. So Alexis is also an Arsenal fan. Tell your boys, tell your girls, everybody get out there, because everybody has this bias, like Premier League is the best and whatever. And it's just like, you need to support your local team, because that's the only way the sport is going to grow. Yeah. It's not just about supporting the big star players and the big brand names and stuff like that. So that is I think that's what we're sort of trying to do, is like we have a strong focus on American soccer, and we talk about it as if it's normal to talk about, and there's a lot of fun and entertaining things, so people can realize, like, oh, the league actually does have character. The players are funny. The players have personalities, and that is why I hope every new team, whether it's with Charlotte, whether it's Austin, any other new teams coming in, like, make sure that focus, that connection between the city and the players and the fans is really there, because they just want something emotionally to connect to.
Alexis, I think you have a problem with, like, the heat and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm coming from Atlanta, and so now I'm going to somehow try to link this back to Atlanta United. That was my smooth transition there.
Beautiful.
And then going back to what Christian was talking about with the character, showing the league as character, you guys know a thing or two about the rivalries. So being in the area, that Charlotte is positioned with, we've got Nashville just up the road. We've got Atlanta. That's a 3-hour, 45-minute drive that I've made. How do you envision that type of atmosphere playing out with those games and the rivalries that could be created in this region?
I had no idea it was a rivalry between the two cities. I guess I'm such an East Coast dude. No one explained it to me, But all I know is when Charlotte came out, the first thing I saw was the owner wearing a shirt that said "Screw that city," and I was like, "What's he talking about?" I thought it was Charleston. I thought it was like a North South Carolina thing. I had no clue. And someone was like, "Oh, it's Atlanta." I'm like, "Why would you hate a city that's 4 hours away?" And then I remembered, Boston sucks. So, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, whether, I don't know the details of the rivalry itself. Like, when it's usually when we go to a particular city and then kind of get more immersed with the fan culture. When we go to Atlanta and they see this Orlando shirt, they lose their mind. So, and the jokes, I mean, just yesterday, just yesterday, Orlando City posted a tweet about Father's Day, like, buy your father an Orlando City kit, and literally all the responses are gifs of Joseph Martinez, like, this is your daddy, this or whatever, and that is the kind of banter I love to see. So I think, and MLS clubs, even since Alexis and I joke about this a little bit too, because we try to just bring that humor amongst and banter between soccer fans and roast each other. And I don't know if it's true. I don't know what influence we had, but ever since the Cooligans started in 2015, you're seeing social media, MLS social media admins really going after each other. And I'm like, I don't know if this is the Cooligans effect, but whatever.
Maybe all we had to do was open the door and they walked in, right? That's all I'm saying.
You guys just elevated the game. That's what we need.
Yeah.
And then getting to go around to different cities and spend some time with, fans of these different clubs. What's your favorite? I guess, Christian, we could start with you. Do you have a favorite spot you want to go that you like to go to?
I mean, I'm an NYCFC fan, so the love we get from NYCFC fans is, insurmountable. It's incredible. But I mean, if I have to go second, I mean, I got to say Atlanta. When Atlanta United began, they started listening to our podcast. We got this level of support I did not expect. The first time we did a live show in Atlanta, we sold out. We didn't know anybody in Atlanta. We had no friends. People just heard.
We knew one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, one person. We're like, well, we'll know he'll be there. You know?
and there, you know, we did a comedy festival, the Red Clay Comedy Festival, and we opened a comedy festival with a show about soccer, and we had Julian Gressel and Bobby Boswell on the show, Brittany Arnold, and having that support was just like, man, these, not only do they really care about their club and there's a new team and they were doing everything they could to help support it, but then anybody that showed love to them, they were like, all right, cool. You know, I don't care what team you support.
Yeah, you're in.
You're one of us, you know?
Yeah, since he said Atlanta, which again, Atlanta, we've said is the second home of the Cooligans. We have a piece of our heart is always in Atlanta. It's just a wonderful city. I apologize for all the negativity I gave towards the hip hop scene in Atlanta back in the day. Y'all just sounded so different. All right. But I will say, since Atlanta's already off the table, for me, it'd probably have to be the LAFC. That fan base. It's just, especially for, you know, speaking of like wanting to see a piece of you and a piece of your community and who you are sort of be mirrored back to you in soccer, to have such an overwhelmingly Latino fan base and just a culture around a team was something really special for Christian and I to see with our own eyes. It legitimately brought a little, I welled up a little bit just to sort of experience it, because I grew up hearing Spanish, but no one would ever talk soccer in Spanish because we're Caribbean, which it's all baseball or nothing. So to see people speaking Spanish about soccer live and cheering for a team in America was, for us, was like, wow, we kind of made it a little bit. Like Atlanta bringing that hip hop culture into soccer for me was overwhelming. I was like, I love it. This never should go away, because soccer was wild white, you know, especially when we started in 2015, which was like super suburban. So I was begging for something like this to happen. And then to see LAFC bring in that super Latino culture, I was like, yo, the world's just starting to sort of, like, you can't stop it from now merging. You know what I mean? Like all these worlds are starting to merge. And I think that the world Christian and I envisioned, hoping would come one day, in 5 short years, we're already seeing those signs.
That's so cool. And like, it's so cool for me now to kind of be a part of this role. I played soccer growing up, and now to be fully immersed in it. And I played in college too, but to work in it now and get to interact with guys like you and get to cover a team like this that's building is just really cool for me. I do have to say, because I was in Atlanta, I have like some Atlanta United stuff. Do I have to get rid of that now? Should I give you like a woman's V-neck shirt? You guys are fans. I don't know what to do with it now, because
hide it, I think, is the first thing you got to do. Is don't let anyone in Charlotte see that, because I didn't know the rivalry was this thick.
It's going to be.
I didn't know we were talking to a mole this whole time. You got someone on the inside.
What colors you wearing, yo?
No, you know what? I mean, do a giveaway or something like that. People appreciate that stuff. Yeah.
I think I'll look into that. That's probably not a bad idea. I'll just I don't know, I'll post it on my Instagram or something like that. Anyway, keep
it in the back of the closet for some memories. You know?
See, speaking of wardrobe, though, you guys are always wearing different jerseys, like every time you guys are on. I mean, how many do you have?
I'm not answering that question because my wife can hear this. Too many, though. I think since quarantine, I've purchased or fans have sent me over 20 jerseys alone since quarantine started.
Yeah, I'm somewhere around. Maybe I'm like at almost 100, I think. I mean, so the way I started collecting jerseys wasn't because I was like directly purchasing them. I couldn't afford them. But my brother's a professional handball player, and he would travel the world. So every time he would go to a different country, he would get me a kit from either a club or a nation. So that's kind of how it started. And it started filling up my closet little by little. And I used to work for Diddy. I used to work for Sean John. And when I was at Sean John, we used to get our clothing for free. We would get like essentially like an allowance that would give us like $400 every 3 months, and we could buy any clothes we wanted. So I would just get a bunch of clothes. And I used to have nearly like 60 pairs of jeans that I've now replaced with soccer jerseys. So I got rid of the jeans, and I still have the same amount of closet space, but now they're taken up by soccer jerseys.
Well, before I was a comedian, I was in the corporate world. So all those suits have now been thrown away, and that's replaced with soccer jerseys. And again,
a release, I would imagine.
I mean, for me, yes. For my wife, she's like, no, no. Remember when you dressed nice? You know? I don't even know the term. Like, I like gaudy soccer jerseys. I bought like maybe 4 or 5 from the Hall of Shame on classicsoccershirts.co.uk, which is like where they stash their ugliest kits. And I was like, I didn't even realize that. I was like, yo, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So I just bought them because I like super loud kids, especially as a fat guy. You got to draw people away from the curves. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I try to do. It distract you.
It's an illusion.
Yeah. I probably have a little over 100 as well. And I want more. I mean, I don't know where I'm going to put them, but I want more.
So I had Jimmy Conrad on like a few weeks back, and he's got this whole collection. But he pulled out a Beckham jersey, which will set me up for my other question for you guys later. But do you guys think you have more than he does? Because he had like, I mean, full display.
No, because he was able to exchange kits with players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, other than abs, is the only benefit to having played soccer.
Yeah, he easily wins. And coincidentally, Jimmy's on our show this week. So
You're just plugging Jimmy stuff. You should pay us.
Jimmy's a friend. Yeah, he's a great dude.
Speaking of his Beckham jersey, then you guys got to interview him, right? Like, so okay, what was that experience like? And since we've been just kind of going all over the place here, is he that handsome in person? Were you blown away?
Even more handsome in person. And here's how many photos. Christian and I were so giddy about interviewing him. The production team we had with them, I basically told each of them independently as if it was just them. I'm like, do me a favor, take a couple photos of me. I wanted it from all angles. So many people airdrop me photos that, I don't know if you know this, on an iPhone, they have a faces feature where if you take a couple photos of you and your friends, it sort of allocates them by the faces they see a lot. It's me, Christian, David Beckham. That's the top 3
photos you have.
That's how many photos I have of David Beckham on my phone from that one interview. He's also just like a very genuine person. Plus, he told us we're funny. I mean, I'm never going to stop gushing about this.
Yeah, I think the bigger surprise for me wasn't how handsome he was, but how genuinely kind and charming he was. Like, it's weird to have someone so good at soccer. He's just one of the best in the world at a particular thing. And then you could imagine the looks, the fame, the gorgeous wife, everything could get to his head. It seems like just a chill dude, happy to talk to anybody. So that was like the first thing. I'm like, how is this dude this good looking and also perfect?
It's annoying.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
Maybe he snores in his sleep. It can't all be that good. There's got to be something.
There's something wrong. We'll figure it out.
His farts stink. Yeah, there's something. It's got to be something about this guy.
What is his flaw?
Favorite interviews then? So Beckham's obviously got to be up there just because of, I mean, how cool he is from what you guys are telling me. But are there any other people that stand out as just some memorable interviews that you all have had? As guests.
First has to be Ali Krieger and Ashton Harris from the Orlando Pride.
Yeah.
We've the last couple of years we've made a stronger effort to highlight the women's game and just talk to women's soccer players. And what we're realizing, and I think that it's a shame that like the NWSL doesn't get as much coverage as it really should, is like women's soccer players have so much character, personality. They're so funny, and nobody's talking to them, and it's just like such a shame. And Ali Krieger and Ashton Harris are like, I mean, not only are they just a power couple, but they're super, super funny, and just and they do so many positive things for the gay community. They're obviously going to Black Lives Matter protests, doing all these great things. But Ali Krieger and Ashton Harris have to be up there when it comes to our favorite interviews.
Just that we've said it on the show before, but Ali Krieger is the funniest person we've ever had on our show. And that's including stand-up comedians, professional stand-up comedians that make a living doing it. Yeah, she's just so enigmatic and just like, even from the moment we first met her, and we were lucky to be able to interview her in person the first time we did to really build that rapport. But she had like instant chemistry with 2 people who are literally riffing as hard as they can she was just in there with the jokes, and she was like, we would throw something out, Christian would throw something out, and then she'd throw something out. It was just like she really was the third Cooligan, like instantly. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Very rare that you meet someone who's just, it was like a tennis ball machine. Like anything you hit at it, it hits it back. I was like, she is so good at this.
Okay, no, I just got a buzz from Ryan in my fake earpiece that we're running out of time, so I gotta give him a couple more because this has been so much fun, and I know I've laughed like all the way through, and I'm eating up more time now. Best kit in the MLS.
Oh, best kit
Currently? Oh, that's a tough one.
I mean, like the 25th anniversary kits, like if it's current.
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, because I mean, they some of them we had a couple duds. There's a lot of them were not great, but
I'll say the Chicago Fire one just to throw a wrench in the whole system.
just anger everybody,
including them.
A lot of people don't like this one, but I like the San Jose Earthquakes kit.
It's the ugliest kit I've ever seen in my entire life.
I love it. I just say it's like simple enough, and I like.
It looks like how a stepdad who only has golf clothing dresses.
That's my look, bro. That's my look.
Okay, and the MLS is back. So, what do you guys make of this now with the tournament going on, or soon to be going on?
I think it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. I wish it would have started a couple weeks ago, just so that the MLS would get even more of sort of a sort of a marketing opportunity. But I think it's going to be fun. I don't think I've ever seen or heard of anything like this. I thought this was going to be the tail end. I thought this was how they resolved the rest of the season. But it turns out, no, this is just a tournament, and then they're going to do the rest of the season, which really confused me even more. But I hope for everyone's safety down there, and I hope for a really fun and exciting tournament, because I think this could be something that propels – to me, MLS is always trying stuff. So this could be something we're going to see again in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, but I think the tournament itself is the tournament structure will, I think, lead to a more surprising winner. I don't think the winner of this tournament is going to be the typical either Atlanta United. I don't think it's going to be one of these top teams. I think it's going to be a coach that's going to know how to handle this World Cup style, group stage and knockout round. So. Yeah. So I'm excited. Yeah, just the fact that it's going to be even more unpredictable, it's going to be great.
What about the 9 a.m., like the morning start times? Are you guys morning? It's kind of like Premier League. Like you got to get up and watch some of the games in the morning.
Yeah, I can't wait for Christian to tell me how those games went.
Tiffany, this is America. We do not get up that early for soccer games.
We watch clips on Twitter.
As a fan, I think it's fine. I think it'll be cool. We've spoken to a couple players that, like, especially players that West Coast players. They're like, I hope I don't have to play at 9 a.m. because I'm gonna be jet lagged while I'm trying to mark Nani or whatever. So
unless they put coffee in those water squeezy things for them, I mean, how are you doing that 6 a.m. game? No, thank you.
So I think for fans, it'll be fine. I'm more concerned about the players because they're gonna have to wake up at like 5 a.m. essentially, have like a 5-6 a.m. meal for a 9 a.m. game. So those 9 a.m. games are going to be a little tougher on them.
Man, and how it factors in being an athlete and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite interesting to see how it all plays out. I do wish I would have got to play the theme song for you guys that I wrote, and I also did the tracks on. But maybe I'll send that to you guys another time so you can give me a take on it.
I can't wait.
I get sing like sometimes. So
that's dope. I want to hear it now.
It's really bad. But on that note, the Cooligans, Christian and Alexis, thank you guys so much. This has been a blast, and I hope we get to have you guys on soon and get you down here for a future game.
I would love it.
Yeah. Thank you again, guys.